Used to do 420 damage on a fan of the hammer. So.
And then you combat rolled it, then you fan the hammer again, and Reinhardt is dead. Do not miss that. But enough lamenting about past metas. Let's go ahead and take a look at the meta at hand here, because we do have, speaking of McCree, something of a Super McCree comp coming out of Cyclone coupling here.
Yeah, I think it's the classics Super McCree as well, with the solo McCree and then all the healers and the tanks and the dive capability. And especially the double bash.
And S69 just getting to work, but it's the tank dive, the line up coming in from Giant that's just that much better. And they, I mean, I say dive, they are running a goats here.
Good amount of
the
trades.
Forward mobility coming out of the Winston and Diva, and the trade's decent, but with S69 off the table, the ability for Cyclone to effectively continue counter trading is off the table. Giant will take the point.
And the shield bash pressure is instantly gone when Jicky actually goes off the map there. And for Cyclone coupling, you need to layer both the stuns to secure kills onto people, or rather, that's the safest way to secure people or secure kills. Cyclone coupling now going to go onto their own Winston Goats. X69 going onto the Zarya here. They want to meet Giant Esports 1-for-1, but they are behind an ultimate, so that's going to be a factor.
It'll be telling to see whether Giant can just extend this lead. They don't have those ultimates just yet, though, so if they get outfragged here, this is the opportunity for Cyclone. Nice catch on Goddess. Yang slow, but he's getting healed up now. SQXE still just a bit too far from this grab. The rally gets committed out from Jackie and the Transcendence from GCGG. They find Cyclone God as he was busy self-destructing, which didn't get anything either. Now Pichu, the Transcendence, has run out. Rocket's choosing to commit a sound barrier. They want to try and get this grab, and now here it is available as Goddess was able to rejoin the fight. This is where they can maybe turn it back around, but X69 and GCGG get kills. They've chosen to not commit the grab despite stalling so long for it. They are going to walk away, though, with over 50% on the point.
And there's just two things going really wrong for Giant Esports there. Number one, Jicky gets Goddess down so quickly. The difference there is Goddess had the rally available. He goes down, Jicky gets his own rally, uses it for his team. The armor bonus for Cyclone coupling so effective. SQXZ also charges the Graviton Surge so slow, doesn't manage to get it in time. By the time he has a grab, his team has already lost the fight, and now guess what? X69, he's got his own.
Like we said, there was the window for Cyclone coupling. They just had to get some frags, and they did. That is a nice preemptive Graviton Surge, and the self-destruct lane in from Eternal finds 2, and the other 3 had already been killed prior to that. It's just Sage and God who's going to get staggered out of this mech as well. Gog's going to ring out sweet justice, and Cyclone stay in control.
And that is the exact way you want to be able to intercept the rotation as well. You see which way Giant Esports are able to move through the map. Cyclone coupling say, we're going to get a flank from Eternal onto the back line with a self-destruct. At the same time, here is a Graviton Surge locking you all in place, and a team fight win to boot.
Now it's SQXZ's turn, though. Oh, did that get eaten? That is disgusting. Well, maybe it's very delicious. I don't know. I haven't tried one myself. But at any rate, this is still relatively even. But X69 already up on another grab. And SQXZ got picked off at the top of that anyway. Going to be able to preserve that ultimate here for Cyclone coupling, because once again, they've absorbed the pressure and just out-fragged Giant.
And there was only a one-fight advantage for Giant Esports as well. Note that it was X69 who had to swap from McCree onto the Zarya. Now he's on a Zarya. He's doubled up on the Graviton Surges. He's one ahead of SQXZ. And that's a big problem for Giant, because heading into what could be the final points now, the final moments of Gardens, 85%, there's just not enough time for SQXZ.
Again, Yang gets aggressive quickly to cut off the column. Grab self-destruct combo, and then onto the Reinhardt to shield it to go down, and pushes Sage and God's self-destructing mech off the bridge. That's going to be an easy cleanup for Cyclone coupling. Not even going to lose Jackie, and that is 100% excellent.
And the gong will mark the win here for Cyclone coupling. And then Red Fox there with the Shanghai Dragon spray. Yeah, he knows where his bread is buttered. Cyclone coupling right now, just a clean victory. They knew straight away, look, the McCree, the Super McCree comp here, not going to be super effective. We've already lost positioning, swapped the Zarya, instant value. Jackie, as soon as he found that opening shield bash kill into Goddess, put his rally behind so far, put his own rally up, gave him and his team the armor to play with, puts X69 ahead. Cyclone coupling just never really fell backwards from there. Every other fight looks so good.
Yeah, that wasn't like lightning on water. It was not super effective. It was lightning on rock. Not very effective. I know my Pokemon. But this is Overwatch, so let's talk about that. And hey, guess what? It's Control Center. We've got a Ghost Mirror. Nothing too surprising.
My worst fear has been realized.
But in all seriousness, oh, nice stun onto Tituat, but he's safe, and they're able to push the pressure back onto Yang Yang instead. Nicely handled, despite that Orb of Discord on Tituat. And now isolation on Jackie, they close out on him. Giant off to a good start in the mirror matchup.
And this is exactly the kind of thing that they need here. And the thing for Cyclone coupling, by the way, the advantage is at least they don't have to change compositions, assuming they are going to stick onto this Rhine Goats, which I expect them to be able to do right now. Note that despite losing, X69 is not that far behind SQXZ. If they can catch up on ult charge right now, they can still get back in the game.
Hell, they'll do you one better. They'll kill SQXZ and take the lead on ult charge. They'll even find Tituat, and Giant Esports playing a bit too far forward without the ultimates to back it up. Very quickly lose that fight, and Cyclone coupling again arrest control of the point off them.
Once again, Jackie overtakes Goddess as well. You can see the early rally coming on through. The bonus armor going to be a boon. And for Cyclone coupling right now, any disadvantages they had from the opening fight has just been nullified. Very similar to what we saw at the Gardens, except even better.
And it's the same deal here. SQXZ has taken a very long time to charge up this Graviton Surge, as has Tituat with this Earth Shatter. And there's the grab out of X69. They've looked to counter it out with Pichu's Transcendence. They've stayed alive for the time being. But still SQXZ, no grab to counter it out. Now half to answer with is Yang Yang. The Earth Shatter didn't get too much. Tituat, he gets a couple. Where's the follow-up? They did find Jackie, charge in, finds Red Fox, and now they can unleash on the back line. So Giant are able to absorb those ultimates that Cyclone had up on them and should be able to take this point back.
Absolutely money plays coming out from Tituat there as well. Able to counter out Yang Yang Shadow with his own shield, and then the counter Shadow coming through, giving them 2 kills. Now, it wasn't the biggest Shadow you've seen, doesn't land on all 6, but lands on just enough members to give Giant Esports the advantage that they need. They're able to push through, they're able to recap as well, farm those ultimates back up, just as we got out of the game there. SQXZ, I saw the grab ready and available for him.
Woohoo!
Not quite there for X69 just yet, so that is the next advantage.
Give him 20 seconds.
Giant need to be able to play. 20 seconds is a long time. I feel like X69 could do it in less. 20
what are we going to bet? You're going to go down to 10?
I think, I mean, he only needs like 20% or something like that.
10 seconds. 10 seconds for the man in the pink shirt. Do we have any takers for 5 seconds? 5 seconds, anybody. Place your bets now.
We unpause, he just instantly gets it.
He's already got it. It's just up. Like, he charged up during the pause. That's
like
how
in
good
the pause, he doesn't have it.
Yeah,
unpause,
yeah.
it's just there. I don't know.
He's just that good at the game. I mean, that's peak Overwatch right there.
That's why it's pause. It's not pause for anyone else.
It's pause for
it's pause for everyone else except
He's like,
him.
hold up. Just pause it while I charge my grab. That's how it works, guys. I mean, if that's not what you're doing in your competitive games, then you are playing suboptimally. But
all right, we're ready to get back into
it. And look, he's close. He's at 80%.
So we're at the sort of point now where, again, watching SQXZ, where does he place this one and where does Eternal try and counter? Sound Barrier says we're going in.
Yeah, and they immediately find Goddess. There's the grab to try and answer, but where's the follow-up damage? Self-destruct 4, but the nice angle from Yang Yang to block that one out. Now X69, it's going to be his turn on that grab in just a second. Might not even need it. They've found Tituat. They're just looking to pile on the pain, find SQXZ, deconstruct the tank line, and despite the Transcendence and Sound Barrier potentially being available, Giant did not have a good time to commit them, and Cyclone are just allowed to outfrag.
And I think Giant Esports, they just caught, they just weren't aware of what was happening from Cyclone. The Sound Barrier coming through, Red Fox signaling this is the time to push, and for Cyclone coupling, wasting none of that time, immediately getting into the face of Giant Esports. Goddess go down super early, and Giant's just unprepared to deal with the aggression.
There it is. Oh, nice Earth Shatter from Tituat, but quick answer. Not quick enough to save Yang Yang, and Jackie died being charged out well away from that Transcendence. So Giant Esports now returning the favor, paying it back double even. Nice catch on GCGG. They should be able to take control back without having lost too much percentage.
And this is going to be a point where you just see both teams swapping control of this cap over and over and over. This time around, it's Giant Esports able to catch Cyclone coupling down a little bit unaware. The shield bash into Earth Shatter combo so effective from Goddess and Tituat. It's been a lot of Tituat's play so far on this Reinhardt, assisted by his teammates, obviously, that have been able to get Giant Esports ahead in the series and really catching up in the series as currently right now.
Now here's the tricky thing, Giant, they do have control, but they don't have the ultimates to back up this position. Oh, nice catch there, but there's going to be the grab to come out. Goddess instantly gets popped. Self-destruct is there for Eternal. Doesn't actually find anyone. Nice angles from Tituat, but turns the shield the wrong way and does still get taken out from behind by Yang Yang and co. He's just looking to get aggressive. That's his third in a row now onto the back line. And because they stalled with Eternal, they're now pushing that 80%.
And the timing now is going to be the issue for Giant because we're about to hit into the 90% mark for Cyclone and soon the overtime. And they're going to force the fight in this corridor right now. There should be a shield bash combo as well.
Quick shatter, mostly blocked out by TDWAT, but Goddess was not lucky enough. He was going forward for that shield bash, but they found Yang and Eternal's mech with the self-destruct, and they've been able to sneak some members through. I believe that's Rocket on the point, but Jackie finding SQXC. That means they can't back this one up with the tanks, with all that extra stuff they need, and thanks to the Transcendence,
oh no,
they survived long enough to finish off TDWAT, who could not get healed up, and it's all starting to fall apart now for Giant, despite having that decent start to that fight, blocking out those tools. Cyclone, they just react, they forced the fight in such a favorable position, and they got exactly the picks they needed to set themselves up for the win on Lijiang Tower.
Giant Esports, man, they opened up the door, but as they sort of walked through, they just tripped over their own 2 feet. And TDWAT, he had the Earthshatter, used it, gets killed mid-channel on the Earthshatter. So unfortunate, and it was just a sort of position for them where Giant Esports got a double kill and a DMAC with that self-destruct as well, able to actually contest a point to get the overtime started. Everything started to go so well, but again, they just tripped over, weren't able to really contest and weren't able to convert on the kills they needed.
It's rough.
And it is kind of rough because now you don't get to go to night market. It's all done in 2, and this is kind of, again, very similar to what we saw in the first week as well. Most of the control games were done in 2 stages.
And I'd saved up all my pennies. I would have liked to have gone to the night market, but have to do it next. Yeah, I'll have to go next time I'm in China. Oh well.
Which could be the next series. We've
gone
there twice already.
Right? Yeah, it seemed likely, but I do actually want to talk a bit seriously about something very interesting at the end there, because the thing I said right at the top of this matchup was something that was kind of selling Cyclone coupling short, was the fact that they were setting themselves up in winning situations and then not being able to follow through in their match last week. This was a very different situation, you've got to say. Very much setting up those situations, very much capitalizing on them. A lot of it's off the back of just how much quicker they're charging key ultimates, especially those grabs. But that's not the only one. Rally has also been consistently very fast, at least faster than it has been for Giant. And in among all that, they're also now winning fights where they're coming in a little bit behind because they're identifying a win condition, setting up for it, and executing very, very nicely.
Yeah, it's also, to sort of add to that as well, it's not just, you know, having good ult charge and getting the damage output there or the healing output or whatever, but it's also finding the right targets and shutting down members on the opposite side. So the clear one is when, you know, Jeki got Goddess out, despite Goddess having the earlier rally, he couldn't use it because he was dead and he had to respawn. By that time, Jeki had already used his one, won the team fight. And Goats is the 3-3 comps that we see, especially in the mirror matchups, they're very snowbally. The ults mean so much because you've got a lot of healing and a lot of sustain, because there are huge health pools on everybody. No one dies very easily, so the only way people go down is when ult's starting to come through. So the difference in ult economy and how quickly you charge ultimates and who you shut down to get those advantages, that's what wins you these games in Goats v Goats.
But that was one of the funny things, is like, that is, for the most part, true. But then on these 2 maps, I think we saw some of, like, just the most out-fragging we've seen in just Goats v Goats for the longest time. A lot of that wasn't coming down to ultimates, especially in those first couple of fights on Control Center. Like, very few ultimates got committed except for maybe a rally, and then suddenly ultimates became a factor. That's where X69 outcharging became a factor, etc., etc., etc. But now we do move away from the Goats v Goats situation.
I don't know, maybe.
Well, we may. We may. But we're on to Hollywood. This is where we do expect to see some different things.
And this is an NA contender, so we're probably going to see some other things too.
Yeah. So. Bunker defenses, we see them a decent amount here. We've been seeing a chunk of Pharah. Thanks to Kefri, we saw some Widowmaker. That was nice. Wouldn't mind some more of that.
Yeah, let's just get Kefri back in again.
Yeah, just subbing Kefri.
Any of these teams want to just sub Kefri real quick?
Just quickly, just fly him into China, just real quick, and then sub him in there.
Or Thailand.
Yeah, just the traveling Widow player. There we go.
But between these 2 teams, I think Cyclone coupling specifically, I mean, maybe even Giant Esports, both these teams, I don't think we've seen too much in terms of the other comps. We did now see a little bit of the Super Career come out from X69 and the rest of CYC, but it was just so short. He instantly swapped back onto the Zarya, so honestly going into Hollywood and other maps now that are not Control, are they going to try and go into, you know, flicks out into the wider pool of compositions available? You mentioned Bunker here with the Orisa. Now paired with the Orisa, we've seen a decent amount of Junkrat as well. Do either team want to go for that on Hollywood? That's a big question to me as well.
Yeah, on the whole, though, I would like to say we've already kind of seen Cyclone turning that new leaf that I was saying I wanted them to turn. That the improvement has been there from one week to the next. Now, if they can show a bit of compositional variety on top of that, that would be just an extra bonus on top of all this, right? I would say that right now, between these two teams, they do look like the strongest. And the thing we've got to consider is, if neither of these teams are willing to flex onto other compositions right now, and we just end up in goats v goats again, well, frankly, I've got to favor Cyclone coupling going into that situation. I mean, we saw how deadly it was on Lijiang Tower.
Now, I just want to point out as well, there are 2 additional members on Giant Esports. One of them, Kai Mooks, we haven't seen yet, but Mushroom we have seen, yes. And last week, they played Mushroom in the second DPS spot. Obviously, they didn't play actual DPSs with Mushroom. They stuck to GOATs with that, the 3-3, because they actually have 3 tank players. Mushroom is their 3rd tank player that you can probably tell on this roster. So the fact that currently, and this may change, if we go into Hollywood and you do see Mushroom come back into the roster and there are 3 tank players, I suspect they're just going to play GOATs the whole time.
Well, going to Hollywood. I do believe we have a bunker composition on the defense, so it's not going to be like that movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Because that would have been, we would have been the men that stare at goats.
Yeah, I would have been George Clooney.
You can pick the actor for me. I don't know.
You could be Ewan McGregor. That's actually not a bad.
I'll take it.
Way to go.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
it's not a bad way to go.
It's a hilarious movie, by the way. If you haven't seen The Men Who Stare at Goats, but.
No Pichu so far, sorry, no Mushroom so far, so that does say to me that maybe they do want to play, I don't know,
Giant
something that do have a little bit of versatility. Pichu, by the way, is a specially support player currently anyway. He used to be a DPS player.
Also a pre-evolution of Pikachu. Again, Pokemon trivia for you tonight. But look at this defense, though. This is the thing we've really got to talk about.
My goodness, flying rats.
Super McCree, yeah, it's the Super McCree bunker comp. Jackie just getting so much damage out, and now fishing up these kills as well. They're in a very good spot here on the defense side.
And they've really been well prepared to go up against this Ryan Goat. So I suspect that right now, if you are Giant Esports, consider changing, because running this kind of composition against what Cyclone Coupling have on this defense, look at that Riptide already available. Yeah. You're just farming up the man's ults time and time again. There's so much anti-goats in Cyclone Coupling's defense. I don't think Giant Esports should stay on this.
You know what? Cyclone are the men who stare at goats. And if you saw that movie, it was about men who could kill a goat just by looking at it. That's kind of what Cyclone feel like right now. It's going to be the Riptide coming out. GCGG's already found one, but the wrap around here is a little bit tough. They did lose the tire. X69 going down as well, but Jackie's still in the mix. If he can get a bit more damage out, if they can save him here, because he is low, has had to pull back, and with an nano boost on SQXZ, they're kind of securing this point, and yeah, able to wrap around Sage, and God finds Jackie. So now it's kind of just Yang Yang here with Eternal, and starting to look a little bit tight. Giant have that closer respawn, and they're just nicely set up, keeping these members separated. With the supercharger out of the mix, it does kind of feel like a matter of time. And
Jackie's actually swapped onto the Brigadier here, so things are getting a little difficult for Cyclone Coupling. One kill, though, might get them back in.
They have to stall out the point as well, but they've managed to get someone onto it. Deado from the side doesn't get the kills. Good move in, the stun, the closeout onto X69. It did still get some mileage on the point itself, though. They want to stick in this. SQXZ, though, with the grab to come out. Jackie gets picked off in the middle of it. Sage God finds one with the self-destruct. It's taken a few extra ultimates, but Giant don't mind. They will cap the point out.
And this time, the Goats bite back, and for Giant Esports, they're about to push through onto B. You can see the difference there. As soon as they actually denied the tire out of Jackie, then Jackie was super low HP. X69 goes down before he gets the chance to use the Deadeye. It's just a massive whiff, unfortunately, for the DPS ultimates. X69 comes back, the Deadeye does nothing, gets found out by Goddess, stunned and killed. Jackie doesn't have a Junkrat to spam damage out anymore, and suddenly for Cyclone Coupling, their entire defense just shambles. And for Giant right now, pushing through it with advantage, pushing through with the Nano as well.
There goes, speaking of, the Nano straight out onto Tidawat, who just wants to get into the thick of it with the hammer.
Rocket.
Not exactly the most target-rich environment, though, and when he went forwards, Cyclone Coupling did the same. Tidawat finally finds Yang Yang, and that means he gets to connect the Earth Shatter, charges in GCGG. Now getting the hurt down onto Jackie. X69 in full retreat here. Red Fox is going to try to stall out the payload for just a touch longer. Will expend his life for a few more seconds burned off the clock, and Giant maintain momentum.
And the thing about GOATs here is if you do win as Giant Esports with the Earthshatter intact, you actually get to charge up a lot of ultimates. So it's not like other compositions where if a Cyclone coupling, if they lose that fight, well, Giant Esports had to spend a lot, they'll be down in ults. Actually looking at this, Tito was halfway to a shadow already. SQXC nearly to the grab, Goddess nearly to the rally. Giant are ready to win.
These are the tools that they really need in a fight. And you can see SQXZ looking for an angle, but Goddess got picked.
Oh,
didn't have the rally in time. That's rough. Yeah, Eaton on the grab, and GCGG committing the Transcendence goes forwards. Keeps everyone safe while they just collapse on these tanks. And even though Red Fox died to the self-destruct, that's not bad. That's actually good. They got another ult out of Giant and still took the fight there, Cyclone.
And Goddess with the whip shot, or sorry, rather, it's Jackie with the whip shot on Cyclone. God, just a little bit of encouragement for him to get back to base. And for Giant Esports now, this reset does hurt a little bit, especially if Cyclone comes out, instantly demeched, instantly taken down, and Giant waiting for a respawn again.
Just burns more time off the clock. Cyclone pumping the damage into a tank like that as well means they get to charge up those ultimates. Yang close to an Earthshatter, Jackie close to a rally.
When you see that effectiveness come out of Pixie, because we're in this sort of mirror comp now where they're not running a Zen, they're running the Nano Boost with the, Bio Nade. That's the real advantage of the Ana. If they can't land a good Bio, though, they shouldn't be playing the Ana.
It's tough to land it when the defense is on that high ground with the Rhine shield in front of them. Nice Earthshatter, though, but where's the follow-up? They found Yang, and with that sound barrier running, this is a messy fight. Ults flying left, right, and center, but Giant do have the numbers advantage. Not anymore, though. Now it's a disadvantage as they lose Rocket as well. And they don't have any good defensive tools here. You still see Yang ready to come back into this fight, close to a Shatter. GCGG close to a Transcendence. And even without those tools, Cyclone just barreling forward with the damage. That Orb of Discord just getting so much work done.
And this is why you play Zenyatta, right? Because every other time when Bionade is not a factor, when Nano Boost is not a factor, the Discord Orb is a factor. That's 30% extra damage that all your teammates get to do against one target. And Tito is the primary recipient of that Discord Orb as well. You can see the kind of damage that GCGG can do with it.
Cyclone coupling just in this comfortable spot where they're rotating through these ultimates.
That hits.
Already, that is a huge Earthshatter. Tito already dropped. The rest do at least get up and start running for the hills, but XQXZ won't make it there. It's actually GCGG who got both of those kill credits. We all know who the real carry here is.
And by the way, if Cyclone Coupling continue to play close here, they can just burn more time and just apply more pressure as well, because Giant Esports, as you start heading into the overtime, you need to be playing onto the card. But if Cyclone Coupling don't let you do that, then you're in a tough place.
Now Cyclone Coupling with so many tools in the pocket. Earthshatter from Tito does not get much done. X69 zones out Sergeant God so that he can get a grab on the rest of them. Self-destruct collects two. Sergeant God does get one back of his own. Yang's a little bit low here. He does get dropped, but SQXZ going down means no grab, and he's a long way from respawn. They are at least on the cart. Sergeant God and Rocket stalling that one out, but they are surrounded on all sides. This is the Alamo here, right out in the Wild West set. Could it be more appropriate? And that last stand is not going to last long. Sergeant God out of the map. Rocket's actually stalled for a while. Team's getting back here, but sound barrier from Red Fox keeps them in the fight. Yang has come back in on a wrecking ball just for maximum displacement. SQXZ must connect this grab.
And that's going to be the winning factor for Giant if they can land it, but he's missed a couple before. Eyes on Eternal.
And X69 is nearly in his own grab as well. Eternal gets healed back up. Grab comes out though. X69 caught up in it. They get a couple of extras in that, and even though Tito goes down, Giant will wrest control of the payload back in overtime. But man, they are so far back against the wall here. They must win another fight before they even cap.
And there is possibility to do that if X69 doesn't get a good Graviton Surge. If Sergeant God can deny that one out. GCGG as well. Maybe missing the Transcendence. There's a lot of F spots and maybes, but there is a possibility for Giant Esports to actually complete this cap, move into C, and Cyclone Coupling would have to seriously misfire to not hold.
It's the win condition there. Tito has not had enough time to charge up an Earthshatter. Neither has Sergeant God been able to get a self-destruct. There it goes. Able to get that one available now. Must land it. It must be good. Yang has swapped to the Winston. That means it's easier for Tito to connect, but the grab. Now the self-destruct gets 2, and that's going to be all she wrote unless Sage God plays out of his mind. It will only collect Red Fox. They do actually find Yang Yang. Sage God is still in this. They've still got 3 healers keeping him healed up over time, but they don't have something like a nano boost just to bump that damage output up. And X69 with all that charge in pocket is looking primed to pick off the rest of these members as they get stunned and taken down piece by piece. Cyclone will hold.
A valiant effort from Giant, though. You have to note where they actually started this overtime push. It was around, I guess, that first kind of bend on Hollywood B. I mean, after the straight section.
Out front of the saloon?
Basically, and it's actually a decent amount of distance. This is kind of defendable if you consider for Giant Esports. Once we get to B, assuming it is not a full hold onto A, the distance accumulated on B for them, you can see where that it's kind of finished there, means they can sort of lose a couple of defenses on the early sections of B and still have something left to defend at the end of B. That is a big difference from where that card originated on that actual overtime. And Giant Esports have turned this just off that one fight from potentially a completely lost map if it goes to B to something that is still winnable if we get onto B.
But they do have their work cut out for them, and we do have to be honest about that. Certainly doable. Something like a full hold, or at the very least, if they can really burn down the clock on point A, then, like you said, they've got an opportunity on B where previously they had none. So, we'll see if Giant can make the most of that. They are going to stick with goats on this defense. They are not opting into a bunker composition of their own. And
I do also think as well for Cyclone coupling that A defense was just really whiffed. I mean, you saw the effectiveness out of the original fights. I mean, the damage upward from Jackie onto the Junkrat. And then it just came down to a missed Junkrat tire. Just unfortunately just got sniped out from Goddess's, I think it was Goddess, no, it was actually Pichu playing the Ana. So if that didn't happen, maybe Cyclone coupling have a much better time to play with in terms of defense. They actually defend A lot more successfully. Giant Esports now have their opportunity to get a very good defense onto A if they can really nail down this Winston Goats defense.
And, well, here it is. We are going to be the men who stare at goats this time around. Almost, no, it is indeed mirrored. Both are actually playing the Winston, so we'll see how this one plays out.
Oh, wow, that's a play.
Very quick pick. Trade back, though, onto Yang Yang, so it's not terrible. The Giant really need to get a lot of work done. They do actually find Goddess. This is not going too hot for Giant right now. Cyclone coupling, losing Eternal Smack, but they've got the closer reset, so Yang Yang is already back in the fight as Theodwatt and the rest of the tanks start to crumble on the side of Giants. This will be Cyclone absolutely storming point A.
And much faster than Giant were able to do on their own attack as well. Giant took about 2 attempts. The second attempt was a very long one for Cyclone coupling. Now, don't even have to finish capping up B. Already early positioning. They might get some spawn kills.
Yeah, look at that stun on Theodwatt. They get him low. They want to stay in this one. They commit
so
the rally. And look at how aggressive Jackie is playing. It pays off as well. He hasn't even gone down. Look at them go. This is so aggressive. X69 scoops up 2, and now they have the payload moving. They have a huge ultimate advantage as well.
Oh, they're not done.
All of the positioning. This is disgusting. They're going to count the next spawn points.
They're not even going to finish off the Baby D, but that would... Oh, actually, I think it would have been better not to, but just minor details here. Just keeping Giant Esports in spawn. This is going to give them so much free time. Solo push, by the way. I believe it's GCGG. Knowing that, though, Giant Esports can play against the fact that it's 6 versus 5, no Transcendence because the Zenyatta is still capping and pushing. That's actually Yang Yang, never mind. Well,
yeah.
That's actually kind of good because it means they can use the Transcendence.
Exactly. If Giant do start to break out, Cyclone could use the Transcendence and get their way back to the payload. And again, just going aggressive. They've actually split up these members. This is a nice wrap around. They find Sage and God. They've actually split up Giant. Cyclone taking the better of this situation now as they collapse in what is effectively a 6 versus 5. Commit the grab, self-destruct board. Not even necessary here. Only scoops up Theodwatt because the other 3 were already dead. And meanwhile on the side, Red Fox finishes off Sage and God. Gong rings out. Payload keeps a rolling.
Now the good news is Giants still have ultimates to play with if Cyclone coupling actually allowed them to walk out the doors, which based on their aggressiveness so far might not be something that kind of happens here, but Giant Esports have put themselves in, unfortunately the silver lining is a still defendable position if they can finally get the ults in.
Giant have to get out to this one. Here we go. Coming in hot with the sound barrier. Transcendence from GCGG to match for the opening stretch of the fight. Now Red Fox and Pichu, they're both going to commit their ultimates. It's their turn up. Sage and God finds 2 with the self-destruct, and that's probably saved the map, at least for the time being. They will be able to repel Cyclone for now. They can charge up the grab. They've got the Earth Shatter available. They might hold yet.
So this is now the kind of chance they're buying for themselves. Giant Esports, though, it is the beginning. It is one step of potentially many, many steps forward to actually holding B completely. And for Cyclone Coupling, 3 minutes and 30 seconds and counting down for them to build up somewhere else, find a win condition, and really just push that count to the finish line. Giant Esports, so they still have a couple of volts to play with. Graviton Surge, notably, is going to be the win condition.
Eternal able to get back into the mech as well without too much hassle. It's just a nice little boon. Don't have to give up that little bit of ult charge. Here goes the dive in, though. Very clean.
Once the bubble breaks, Shatter's
Goddess is down. Look at that. Straight in. T1, he got a Shatter. But the follow-up was really there. They've only traded even so far. It's Brigitte for Brigitte. Now they find the Zenyatta. This is starting to look a little bit better for Giant, who are otherwise all out of resources. So outfragging is the only way to go here. Nice catch on Red Fox. And again, they force a retreat out of Cyclone.
And it's going to be the case where for Giant now, they just have to kind of rotate these ultimates. T1 uses the Shatter, gets 61% again. So it's stuff like this that can perpetually just push them further and further ahead in terms of defending this. Now we're down to 2 minutes and 30. 1 minute ago, Cyclone Coupling were readying themselves for potentially a game-winning push. Now we're 1 minute down, and 2 minutes 30 later, Cyclone Coupling could be losing.
That being said, coming up on this grab self-destruct combo, and given they've got a Transcendence available on the defense, just in case they need it. When I say defense, I mean to counter something out. That's a quick commit on the grab, the self-destruct forward. Oh man, once again, it doesn't find kills because the members are already dead before the bomb ends up landing down. Now Giant sorely on the back foot, all out of resources. They are running on empty here. It is fumes and now nothing. As Giant gonna crumble on the defense. Cyclone gonna finish this one off with style.
And this is now Giant Esports potentially going down. T1 did respawn. Earth Shatter finally coming on through. Not going to find anybody. The final resistance here will perish.
Pretty clean from Cyclone, you've got to say. Despite those 2 decent fight wins on the defense from Giant, the reality is they were in such a bad situation prior to that, that even that wasn't enough to rescue it for them. A better A defense, maybe that would have been enough for them. A better offense, if there was more space to work with, maybe they could have got some more success later on the C stage, but you've got to say they were masters of their own demise there.
So many things had to go right for Giant Esports for them to actually pull off that completed B defense. And, you know, a couple of things where, like I said, the step one was just to make that initial comeback from being spawn camped and all of that, because they had saved up a number of ultimates. But that's only step one. There's many, many steps ahead to actually complete that defense. And when you see the final push come through out of CYC, the self-destruct that didn't kill anyone because they were already dead, the 2 members that went down, SQXZ and also T1, they were the ones that needed ultimates. They were the ones that, if anyone was going to survive on Giant, it needed to be those 2. Because if a grab comes up while there's still something to fight for, if a Shatter comes up, again, while there's still a defense remaining, that's how Giant can turn around. But because they lose their 2 primary tanks with the 2 biggest ultimates, that's it. The game's done because they just have no comeback ability.
It does kind of feel like right now, Giant kind of live and die by how well T2 and SQXZ do together in a fight. T2's been pretty consistently good. I think that's completely fair to say. SQXZ has been a little bit more mixed. I mean, it's not just, you know, X69 kind of out, like lapping him and things on the ult charge. It's also just how often he is going down in fights. Now, that's not completely him. There is potentially elements with, you know, healers and who's being prioritized, and it's a wider problem than, oh, it's just SQXZ, but that is a significant factor. When the 2 are up and they get a lot of kills, easy fight wins. The moment one of them gets picked, the fight is pretty much a wash.
And now one of the few rare times we're actually 2-0 up going into the break. But when we do come back, the conclusion of match 2 of this evening, who's coming out on top? Giant, Cyclone Coupling. Find out after this break.